faster than a speeding typewriter, more powerful than a printing press, able to speak over tall buildings in a single sound. Look, up on the dial!
It's a conservative!
It's a liberal! It's Supermouth! Yes, it's Supermouth, strange visitor from the past with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal talk show hosts. Supermouth, who can change the course of local politics, bend ears with his bare mouth, and who, disguised as Mike Wiley, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan radio show, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way.
Good morning. Let me just check to see if the secret documents have come in from government. Hi, I'm Mike Wiley. If you've been watching this show, you already know that. Couple of changes. We've been doing the show now for over a year. We've basically been testing it out, see if we can build an audience like we used to in radio. The only problem when I was in radio, I was too popular with the American people, but I wasn't popular with the left-wing fascist Nazi communist pigs in the Democratic Party, led by Hillary the bitch, who's coming back out now and says, I need to be reprogrammed. Yeah, okay, all right, I may need to be reprogrammed because you never going to change me. But you're going to reprogram, 25, 30, 40, let's see, 50 million? 50 million Americans you're going to try to reprogram? Get the fuck out of here. Okay, there may be a little bit more swearing today than normal. And I'm going to try to avoid that. I'm going to try to relax. But we have, the show is in two segments today. And we're going to try to keep this under 2 hours. We just started now, so I can keep track of this. All right, two subjects: racism and how to fix the country. I've thought an awful lot about this. We've done shows on this all the time. Oh, so by the way, we are now calling this show what it used to be called when I was on radio in Las Vegas, the Wiley Information Network. It was the Mike Wiley Show, brought to you by the Wiley Information Network. I don't really want to call this the Mike Wiley Show. We just want to call it the Wiley Information Network. If I draw too much attention to myself, maybe I get a bullet in the back of the head, like this, like I get Arkansas-ited or something, because the bitch is back. And we're going to be in trouble. Hey, nah. The bitch is back. And she wants to deprogram us. Well, talk about programming. So we were calling the show, we started out as America's Court of Public Opinion because I was going to present documentation to you, basically the election fraud and all the other shit that these people pull on us that is full of shit. And I wanted to do it in a court format. I've been a pro se litigant for some 30 years. I have been in courts, in 5 different states, I don't know how many times. Never actually lost a case. Had one dismissed because we had to do a formality that the people that had to do the formality didn't tell us we needed to do the formality a year and a half ago. So I ended up just saying, the hell with that. I walked away from a case that could have brought me some pretty good money because there were criminals in Vegas. The FBI knew there were criminals in Vegas. The largest, one of the largest investigations in FBI history was in Las Vegas, Nevada, and it had to do about HOAs and their criminal activity. And I was going after people that had already been tagged for criminal activity. I had all the evidence. They were on their 3rd set of lawyers, but there was just one thing about, the judge said, well, if I have to follow the law. See, the laws are set for the judges to follow. Oh, you understand that. And it says you have to go through mediation, otherwise I can't do anything, and you haven't gone through mediation. Even though the mediation board people told you didn't have to because you're no longer an owner, I still have to follow my prescription. So that case was dismissed. I was going to bring it back, and then I went to hell with it. And that's why I decided to get the F up, and I moved to Florida. So the second part of this show is going to discuss the Concord resolves, which I created from the basis of the Suffolk resolves. And we're going to discuss that in the next part of the show. But right now, we have some issues. I'm going to show you some videos. And one of the videos is going to be a group of white bikers. Okay. Because you know, racism is really bad in this country. It is. Okay. Unfortunately, the racism is actually created by black Democrats, okay, who serve their white liberal masters. That's basically how to put it. And it's troubling to know the history of this country and what's going on. But we're going to remind some people of what the history of this country is, because evidently they don't know. And we're going to ask them to come to God. We're going to ask them to come to God. We're going to want you to pass this video out to everybody and see if we can get the people who actually committed the election fraud, the people on the ground floor, the people who probably made $5,000 to follow illegal, fraudulent ballot mail situations. But we're going to get through to that. But the first thing I want to start off with is we're going to show you video. Now, the way this show works is I go ahead and I tell you what we're going to do. I do the show, and then I go back and I produce and fill in the videos. So you're going to see a video of a group of white bikers, big group of white motorcycle bikers, pull up to this lemonade stand run by two little black girls. And you're not going to believe what these white racist bikers did. Yeah, what they did. You'll see that. I'm not going to comment on it. You'll just...
Say thank you. Oh yeah, for sure. Right. 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 Now let's hear them engines. We want to hear them engines. Look, they're gonna make the engines for you, okay? Yeah. It's all gone. Wave. Wave at them. Wave at them.
Then we're going to see a video of a black man who's evidently represents a lot of black men that have decided to tell the Democratic Party to go F themselves. And the reason being is because there was this guy. They called him the Orange Man. And he was a businessman. And he was a billionaire. And he made all this money. But he committed one major problem. And this is the thing that's concerning, okay? If we look at history, if we look at American history, men who stand up and support and provide courage and hope for black America, they get shot dead. Abraham Lincoln, John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, okay, Robert F. Kennedy, and Malcolm X, all shot dead. What a coincidence. And I'm afraid that it's going to happen one more time. I'm not going to say who it is or the circumstances, but I have a really strong fear that that's what's going to happen because the plan B of the Democrats is not working. And plan B stands for bitch. Now, I got to tell you, all right, I don't like having to use that word, but these specific people follow that category. And so I have to use what's right. And somebody can go, oh, Mike, you're a racist. Well, it's kind of hard to be a racist when you're 3 years old, okay, and your mom has had a miscarriage, and she's in bed for 4 months, and your dad's a Teamster truck driver that gets up at 2 o'clock in the morning to deliver newspapers, and he's got nobody to watch the children for 3-4 months. But we happen to have had a cleaning lady who lived in the black community because she was black, and she came in to take care of me and my sister for 4 months. So for 4 months, I was raised by a black woman. Okay, I love that woman. Okay, it's kind of difficult to be a racist once you've loved a black person because the issue with color goes away. You ever notice if you've ever had black friends, you ever know when you first meet a black person as a white person, and there's like this wall, there's a wall of color. And then one day, the wall goes away and you never notice that it's gone and you never realize that it was there to begin with, okay? But I understand the Democratic Party. I understand how important racism is to them. And I understand how important racism is to the rest of the fucking world, okay? Yesterday, watching replays of Manchester United, which is my favorite soccer team, they had them take a knee for racism. Now, they hadn't done it most of last year, okay? They did it in 2021. It was all over the freaking place. You know, the Black Lives Matter shit is a global racist organization. I refer to it as Black Lesbian Mansions because it was an organization started by black lesbians who happen to be female, and most of their money went to buying themselves mansions. Okay, but they called it Black Lives Matter, but they didn't give a shit about black lives. They go ahead and have these riots destroying businesses in the black community, businesses, capitalism. Okay, see, that's the problem. Black people should not be able to economically defend for themselves, to make a business, to enjoy a career or a life, okay? We saw this in 1930. You go, what? Mike, what was 1930? Well, there was this thing called the Golden, I've already done a show on this. There's a thing called the Golden Age, and it was of black entrepreneurship. And from 1900 to 1930, black businesses thrived in the communities that they had developed, and they had all these. We already covered this. You want to go? You can go back and find that show. But it ended in 1930 because there were these group of people. You may have heard of them. They're called the Democratic Party. And see, they were in their glory when Woodrow Wilson was president because he was able to tax the shit out of us with the 16th Amendment and to eliminate Senate representation for the states and do it to the millionaire donor class. Okay, that's why we have senators that are in there for 35, 45, 55, 65 years. Matter of fact, the longest serving senator in U.S. history was 52 years, and that was Robert Byrd of West Virginia, who was a Klansman. Matter of fact, I guess he was a Kleagle or something. So, well, Woodrow Wilson was the first president to really put us into debt, $13 billion, $15 billion actually, to pay for us sending troops overseas to fight in World War I. Because back in World War I, the Europeans had these dirigibles, and they could cross over the Atlantic and drop little bombs on us, okay? Because their paper airplanes, the cardboard wooden planes that they had, wouldn't have made it. So there was no fear of an attack from Europe. Why we were involved in the First World War was simple. We had to cover the fact that this Federal Reserve System established in 1913 along with the IRS, because what's the sense of having taxes if you don't have somebody to collect it, somebody to keep track of it, and somebody to be able to take it and transfer it overseas to the people who control the Democratic Party and the left-wing progressive lunatics that are in here, okay? And you can go through history, it's all there. Everything I say is real, it's true. Put me in court, I don't care, okay? Number one, I don't lie. If I make a mistake on something with one little issue, fine, let me know. Otherwise, so the Federal Reserve wanted to get $15 billion a loan to Europe so they could build and make themselves armies and shit so they could fight this war. Well, it'd be nice if the United States kind of went over, sent troops over to be killed and stuff like that to help out, because being in one of those, trenches with the noxious gases, lots of fun, I'm sure. So what happened was there was this $15 billion that Europe was to be loaned by the Federal Reserve. But the Federal Reserve says, okay, but you got to deposit $15 billion of gold into the Treasury here, because that's going to go to the U.S. taxpayer, who we're going to make pay for this, because now we have a tax code. Okay, right now the tax code has cost us some $90 million, and then there's $90 trillion, and there's $33 trillion that we have borrowed. Well, we haven't borrowed it, but it's on us. But we're not paying it. That's part of the second part of this show. We're going to shove it up your ass. Those people who spent it, they're paying it back. Okay, real simple. I'll show you how that works. There's two ways of revolting. Pulling out a gun and shooting the assholes that are enslaving you, or create a system that puts the enslavers out of business and makes them poor, okay? Because what would you do? Would you like to put Nancy Pelosi in an electric chair and toast her up in 30 seconds and then it's done? Or would you rather take her and another 200 or so Democrat criminals like Barack Obama the Kenyan and put them into Gitmo? And then we can have televised weekly shows. Hey, say hello to the criminal Democrats. Yeah, they committed treason against this country. They stole trillions from us, but we finally got the nerve and we came up with a plan to get these assholes out of our lives. Aren't you tired of inflation? 100% on food. Come on, I go shopping. I know that it costs me $100 to buy $50 worth of groceries. Maybe $100 to buy $40 worth of groceries. And I know that I just paid $3.40 for gasoline the other day, and it used to be $1.80. It's almost 100%. But for some reason, the government doesn't really want to tell us what the inflation is. And I'm going to admit to you now that I've already started that battle. Okay, I've already started the battle. Okay, the government tells us that inflation in 2022 cost the American people $8,417 a year. That's 700 something a month. Okay, so the government knows that due to congressional acts by the Democratic Party, spending $6 trillion, some of it against as a fight against inflation shit. You know, the Democrats, the way the Democrats work is they create a law to prevent you from robbing banks, but they kind of make it so you can still rob them, but it's legal now, okay? For instance, we have these two Democrat criminals, and the way the Democrats work is they like to use blacks and Jews to attack America, because when you attack them, you're a racist and an anti-Semite. So we have this thing called Fannie Mae, and Fannie Mae blows up because the two people, a black and a Jew, are put in charge of Fannie Mae. What a coincidence. And they steal Fannie Mae blind, but they don't go to jail. They get to go to Washington, get promoted, and added to law firms, and they're on all these boards and everything. And so they miss, you know, this is what's interesting, okay? They misappropriated some $30 million, $40 million, $50 million worth of revenue or profit, and they really didn't make it, but they said they did so they could get their bonuses, but they didn't go to jail. But here we have a guy named Donald Trump, who's a white guy that's not Jewish, and he's in New York, and there's a black woman coming after him, okay, which is part of this program is, why are all black women attacking Donald Trump? What's the deal? What's going on with the Democratic Party? And we're getting into that. I just had to cover that point because we see Trump being attacked, and he didn't do anything wrong. There were no damages, okay? The Fannie Mae thing, the first part cost the American taxpayer close to, I'm going to say $30 million, okay? That's a lot of money, $30 million. Instead of it going into the pockets of two people that were Democrats, Clinton people, because this was back in the 90s, and got to remember, the Fannie Mae scandal, the whole ball of wax was kind of hidden. It was put in the closet, and then we'll take it out when there's a Republican president like Bush, and then we're going to pull it out, and we're going to make it be $750 billion problem, and we're going to use it to get Barack Obama elected, because that's what Democrats do. Democrats cause financial troubles the year before an election to get rid of Republicans. 1929, they said there was a crash, a stock market crash. I say it was more like a stock market correction, because the stock market, we already did this show, I've already shown you the amount of growth in the Dow Jones over a 10-year period while Republicans were in the White House, in the Congress, not spending more money than they were taking in, so there's no debt, okay? Everything's going well. Everything's going wonderful. And we have these black people, and they're making money, and they have their own economy, and they have all this National Association of Negro businesses, Negro insurance. They're all doing it without any aid from the Democratic Party, and that, of course, you can't have. Okay, you got to remember something about the Democrats. They've always been slavers, always. But now they want to enslave all of us. That's the deal. Because they've kind of worked a deal with these Chinese guys over in China called communists. And that whole deal is just one thing that we're going to have to fight. It's a problem. It's a big problem. And I would hate to see a shooting war, so this afternoon, we're going to give you a political option. So, let me just gather my thoughts here because I kind of went off on a tangent. So, I get this letter from Catherine Engelbrecht, and She sends out a thing. I'm just going to read a bit to you. It says, several weeks ago, True the Vote published a short paper titled The Aftermath, written as part of a broader collection of our recent work in Georgia. The Aftermath addressed the impacts Georgia's dirty voter rolls had on the 2020 election in a meeting I had in 2020 with the Secretary. Okay, now, what's a dirty voter roll? Okay, here's a dirty voter roll. Okay, the election fraud of 2020 began in 1993. What?
Mike, I think you've gone.
Mike's lost his mind. Please send the police. No, send Hillary. She'll take care of him. She's wanted her for years. And I'm right here, Hillary. I forgot to take my gun out just so you can see it. You guys knock on the door. The gun's going to be in my hand. And the other one's going to be on the left side. Because I ain't going nowhere with you people. I'm sorry. You see, you guys took the Jews in 1933. You ain't taking them in 2023. No. Fuck no. He didn't fight for everybody's gun rights in 1994 for nothing. So here's a roll call vote to create the motor voter. It's called the National Voter Registration Act. Okay? And why is it significant? Because it's only supposed to be for people who are legal. But now we're going to change it. Minnesota's going to take the 81,000 illegal immigrants in Minnesota and give them driver's licenses. Oh, and they'll have a picture ID. Maybe picture ID, because, you know, a picture ID is racist, okay? I mean, think about this. Think about it. The Democrats are saying that black people are too stupid to know how to get a driver's license. They're too stupid to get an ID. They don't know how to do this. It's racist if you ask them to show a picture ID. And how are we going to cheat in elections if we have to prove that the fake ballot you're putting in the system actually belongs to a real person? So the Democrats were all into this, okay? But the interesting part is, okay, this is the interesting part. Ready? Ready? Pay attention. You got to remember, I point out shit. Nobody else does. That's because my background is to find shit as a forensic accountant. Okay, so let's see. States with automatic voter registration. Okay, it was passed in 1993. All right, Alaska implemented theirs in 2017. California 2018, Colorado 2017, Connecticut 2016, Delaware 2023. District of Columbia, 2018. Georgia, 2016. Hawaii, 2021. Illinois, 2018. Maine, 2022. Maryland, 2019. Massachusetts, 2020. Michigan, 2019. Minnesota, 2023. New Jersey, 2018. New Mexico, 2020. New York, anticipated to install it on 2023. Oregon 2016, Rhode Island 2018, Vermont 2017, Virginia 2020, Washington 2019, and Virginia 2021.
Hey, Mike, did you only read off the Democrat states?
Well, you see, the Democrats wanted to pass this law, okay? It was 237 Democrats voted for it, and only 14 said no. Republicans, 146 Republicans said no. 21 of the Republicans, probably rhinos in Democrat blue states, said yes. But it passed 259 to 160. Okay? Well, that's good. See, the Democrats have always wanted to cheat in elections. Why? Why do Democrats have to cheat in elections? The Democrats have two campaign issues every damn year. Every time there's an election, what are they? Racism and kill the children. Democrats want to be able to kill the children anytime they want to. And now, if we let the child live, now the Democrats want to be able to neuter the children surgically remove their breasts or the testicles. I mean, what the fuck? Has Frankenstein been elected? I know Frankenstein got elected in Pennsylvania, but is he running the Democratic Party? Who are these people? And we're supposed to live with them? We're supposed to share a country with these people? Huh? Huh? I want to thank Mark Levin for coming out with his book, Democratic Party Hates America. I've been saying it for a while. It summarizes everything I've already done and tried to present to you. And he goes into more detail. I would just like to see him do more legal stuff because he's got a very strong legal background, having worked in the Justice Department. So the election of 2020 started there, okay? Now, before I get into this, I got a couple of questions for you, and you can ask yourself these questions. Number one, what would happen if there was no more racism? See, racism pretty much had died off. I mean, racism is actually stupid. And I think as people became more educated and everything, it just went away on its own. But then, white people in America proved to the world that white people aren't racist because they voted for a black Kenyan. Yeah, maybe he wasn't an American, you know, maybe he didn't actually qualify to be a president. Who gives a shit, right? Just because they had articles about him being from Kenya, born in Kenya, wasn't a natural born American, therefore he wasn't, all that other shit had to disappear. Remember, Democrats do what Democrats do because Democrats have to do it in order to be elected. Do you really think 81 million Americans voted for the shit we put up with for the last 3 years? 7 trillion more in debt? 7 trillion more in debt in 3 years with Biden. We have war in Israel, thanks to Biden. We have $150 billion going to Ukraine. Why? Because their border needs to be protected and ours doesn't. We have 7 million new illegal immigrants. And here's the fun part, okay? We're going to show you a video. And we want to thank Pam Geller and the Geller Report, who brought it up. She's probably in New York or something, but she got the video. She put it on the X, which used to be Twitter. And also, when it was Twitter, I was allowed to be on it. But for some reason, as soon as it became X, no more Wiley. Sorry, you violated our laws. We can't tell you what they are, but you violated them. So what would happen if there was no more racism? How much federal dollars go throughout the system to pay for racism? Racism that doesn't exist, but has to exist in order for the Democrats to spend $1 trillion a year on racism. Because I figure, you look at all the things the Democrats have done, and we're going to go through some of them in this segment here, and we've already been doing it for half an hour, so I got about 30 minutes more, and then we're going to, I'm afraid this is going to take a little bit longer, but what would happen if there was no racism? Who profits from perceived racism? Nonprofits get their money because of racism. They're all over the place, okay? We're going to stop racism. We're going to stop racism by creating racism. We're going to create more racism because it's okay to discriminate against white people. That's okay. And look, we're going to show you. We're not going to put white people on TV anymore. How's that? Well, we got to put white women on, okay? But white men, forget it, okay? White men, forget it, okay? Democratic Party, the party of racism and taxes. That's what Democrats do. Democrats create more taxes, and the Democrats create more racism. Anything else you can think of? More taxes and more racism. They have to figure out more ways to make you believe there's racism in order for them to be able to get more tax money to spend. Okay? And that's what's going on. There's a big problem.
Right.
See, they got these black guys. And these black guys in America really didn't do well under Obama. And Bush really wasn't too wonderful. And then they had to deal with Obama. Obama was black. You thought he would. Here's what you thought. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now. Here's the whole thing. You thought that the first black man elected to president of the United States would have understood the importance of that and what he should have done. He should have been one of the greatest presidents we ever had in this history. Instead, he was one of the greatest scam artists in history. He's a piece of garbage. A lot of people know it. But get ready. Everybody stand up and bend over because he's going to shove his wife up our ass in 2024. That's the deal. If you haven't figured that out, I've been saying that for 2 years because I know. Look, I know Democrats. I know exactly what they do. They're criminals. I know their modus operandi. You can always tell when they're going to commit a crime because they tell you up front, hey, we're going to do this, and we're going to make it seem like it's normal. And then we're going to shove it up your ass when you're not looking. Like when the votes are going on, we're gonna have the people in Detroit, and Atlanta, and Philadelphia, and Milwaukee. We're gonna have those people commit election fraud through mail-in ballots by kind of like,
Hey, the signature doesn't match. That's okay.
there's no date stamp. That's okay. All right. The Democrats wanted to provide cover, but when you're committing a crime, just because you have cover for it doesn't mean you're not committing a crime. And so when we get to this point where I'm getting ready, I'm going to hit you with what needs to be done. So here's Catherine Engelbert, and she says, our efforts, the aftermath, excuse me, hold on.
Time for some coffee.
Hold on. Okay. The aftermath addressed the impact Georgia's dirty voter rolls had on 2020 election. Okay, dirty voter rolls. Those are people have left and moved. I've already did a show. Matter of fact, I did a little blurb, 20-minute blurb to Pierce Morgan about election fraud and how I found it in Massachusetts with it starts with the registrations. Okay, that's why there's a group called GBI. We're going to cover them. It's a black organization paid to make sure black people have illegal registrations in the system. They got caught, but of course nothing happened because it was turned over to the FBI. Forget about it. Yeah, forget about it. That's them. Forget about it. The aftermath addressed the impacts Georgia's dirty voter rolls had on the 2020 election in a meeting I had. Okay, so just to give you a quick iota, in Massachusetts, they took 600,000. They took 600,000 unenrolled voters. Okay, in other words, they were registered, but they weren't enrolled in any party, whether it was Democrat or Republican. So they're considered unenrolled. Well, because they're unenrolled, the Democratic Party doesn't make sure they're being used. Okay, the Republicans don't really make sure they're being used. And of course, in Massachusetts, there's only like 11,000 Republicans or something. It's awfully pathetic or something. Or 10% of registered voters are Republican. And anyway, so I found where they had the mailing company. And what they did was they stole 400,000 names from the unenrolled and moved them over to the Democratic Party. That's how the Democratic Party went from 34% representation to 45. Okay, it was 34 in 2018. It was 34% 2 weeks before the 2020 election, and then right after the election, all of a sudden now it's 45.
What a coincidence, huh?
There's so much evidence of this. And that's why the one thing you have to recognize, if someone's going to lie to you every day, every day, every day, every week, every month, every year, over and over and over and over and over again, they're going to lie to you. When are you going to tell them to get out of your life?
Today's the day.
So, True the Vote's plan to assist Georgia citizens in challenging ineligible voter records. Our efforts were immediately met with a lawsuit filed against us by attorney Mark Elias.
Mark Elias? Hey, Mike, didn't you do a show on him? Oh, here he is. Yeah, Mark Elias.
He works for Perkins Coie. Remember the name, Perkins Coie? It's a law firm that runs the Democratic Party. It controls the Democratic Party and represents the Democratic Party in everything. Another victory for voting rights. Oh, it's a statement for Mark Elias, okay? Mark's a Democrat, and he was helping Priorities USA, which is a Democrat nonprofit, which is designed to be able to work on registrations and shit like that, so they could steal and cheat. It says here, in October, we sued Michigan on behalf of Priorities USA to block their unconstitutional signature matching process. Okay, we did a show on this, and I asked, and I made believe I put Mr. Elias on the stand, and I asked him, Mr. Elias, what ruling did the Supreme Court make that said the signature matching process was unconstitutional? Come on, Mr. Elias. What's the answer?
You say it was an unconstitutional signature matching process. In order for it to be unconstitutional, it has to be found to be unconstitutional.
So, in other words,
You're full of shit.
this whole thing was full of shit. Okay? Oh, look, meet one mastermind of the 2020 election scandal, Hillary Clinton's lawyer, Mark Elias. Oh, he was in charge. Elias chairs the political law group for the progressive Seattle-based Perkins Coie. Isn't that amazing? Hey, Mike, when did Perkins Coie start? Oh, they started in Seattle in
1912.
Oh, really? Interesting. Really? What an amazing concept. They started a year before. We got the 1913 16th Amendment shoved up our ass, and the 1913 17th Amendment shoved up our ass. We got the Federal Reserve shoved up our ass by progressives. So they're acknowledging that Elias chairs the political law group for the progressive Seattle. Now, we already did a show on Perkins Coie. You want to read up on them? Just go to their website. They have no problem telling you they're communist progressives.
Hey, Mike, who's one of their biggest customers besides the Democratic Party?
Chung Mi? No, Communist Party of China. Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. The two biggest clients for Perkins Coie is the Democratic Party and the Communist Party. Wow! I wonder if they work together on anything. You know, I don't do this show just for fun. I mean, I've always enjoyed entertaining. That's why I always was good at it.
That's why they had to get rid of me, because what I said was true, and they didn't want people to know the truth, especially the truth-telling bitch, Hillary Clinton. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We can't tell who would win a contest of liars. Adam Schiff or her. Good old Adam Schiff. Okay, so among the state's democracy docket, that was the name they came up with for this sideshow, has targeted Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Now, why did they target Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania?
Well, you see, Mike, the Republicans...
Those are Republican states, okay? They're Republican states, and because they're Republican states, that means the legislatures are Republicans, because not all Republicans live in two cities in the state, making up 2 million to 3 million people, and that's where all the election fraud was committed,
We know that, and we're about to get into it right now. So, now Mark Elias is representing Fair Fight. It's an organization of Stacey Abrams, another black female. Let's see, what other black females do we have in public that are out there in the forefront attacking Donald Trump and white people and the American people? Because, you know, black people got screwed this time also. Let's see, the GA, Georgia's DA is Fani Willis. She's black. Jean-Pierre, the White House spokeswoman, she's black. The Vice President of Finance, Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, is black. The New York Attorney General, Letitia James, is a black female. And the NAACP lead person who's in charge of the LDF, Janai Nelson, she's also black. What a coincidence. The Democratic Party employed black women to attack the United States. Why don't they really use black men to attack the United States? Why is that? So now we have Stacey Abrams' organization Fair Fight fighting against people who are trying to prove that the election was stolen in Georgia. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. I have this off the website of Fair Fight. Let's see what they say. Democracy works best when put in place the guardrails that ensure every American, really, every American, including white males, has an equal opportunity to make their voice heard and be fairly represented. That's why we have not removed white men from television commercials and TV shows. They just disappeared. One day, Martians took them. Hold on, I'm just checking to make sure there's no Martian spaceships out there waiting to pick me up. Right now, Georgia and the country are facing the worst attacks on voting rights since Reconstruction. Mike, what's Reconstruction? Do you know? Can you tell us? Reconstruction? I think I've heard of the term before. Reconstruction. Let's see. Reconstruction. Okay. Reconstruction. All right. Reconstruction was something that the Republican military came into the South after the military surrendered. The Democrats never surrendered. They've been at war with us forever. Under the Compromise of 1877, which happened to have been the last major election that was as screwed up as this one that we had this year, okay? Except in 1877, the Democrats allowed the Congress to do its job. That's because Nancy Pelosi wasn't bored yet to screw things up and try to steal an election and make sure that Donald Trump didn't have his constitutional rights of due process for the election to finish. And that's what January 6th was all about. Remember, when Democrats are going to commit a crime, they use racism to cover it up. Racist. You're racist, Stevie. Racism. We're fighting racism. Okay, so now they're saying right now Georgia and the country are facing the worst attacks on voting rights since Reconstruction. Record turnout in 2020 has renewed the insidious efforts to make voting more difficult by targeting black, brown, young, and other voters. They're not targeting white voters. Is that it? Are they not doing that? And threatening their ability to have their voices heard. These efforts undermine our democracy, which is really a republic, but we can't say so. Because then we'd have to start explaining what the laws really are, and we don't want to get into that ball. Fair Fight is leading the charge to protect voting rights. Litigation. Hey, let's listen to the litigation. In November 2018, ready? In November 2018, Fair Fight filed a historic civil rights lawsuit. Everything that deals with civil rights is historic. In federal court against the Georgia Secretaries of State office and the Georgia Board of Elections, challenging the gross mismanagement of the 2018 election that discouraged and disenfranchised voters. Okay, this is the dumbest thing ever. Okay, oh, Fair Fight attacked these people and now they're supporting them. Isn't it amazing? Fair Fight is and the Department of Justice, which we all know is criminal, has joined the fight with Fair Fight against us. Okay, against True the Vote. Does that make sense? Why would an organization that claims that it's for fighting election fraud now is supporting election fraud? They're on the other side. Oh, you see, racism is best employed where you need it. I think it is disgusting. And it's going to get nasty. It's going to get nasty. Okay, racism has nothing to do with anything but money. Money, money, money. Money, money, money. That's how you build money and wealth and power, through racism. Okay, you have to create the enemy that doesn't exist. So, they litigated in 2018 a historic civil rights lawsuit in federal court against the Georgia Secretary of State, who now, in 2020, they support. Because the white Republicans who stole us and wait a minute, hold on, can't say that. I'm sorry. All right, okay. Reconstruction was a federal program implemented by white Republicans to rebuild the South and to rebuild the black community. Who do you think didn't like that idea? The Democrats, Mike? Is it the Democrats? Yes, it was. You win a prize. Yes, it was. What a coincidence. The Democrats didn't like Reconstruction. No, they had to get rid of it. Oh, here's a way. Here's a way. Compromise of 1877. So in 1876, they had some issues, this and that and this. So they had to do a special congressional, it had to go to the House and Senate of the United States, which is what Trump's election was supposed to try to do, but we had this disease called Nancy Pelosi syndrome, and that destroyed everything. And that's a crime beyond crimes. Well, I'm going to stop for a second. Understand, the way the Democrats work is they plan a criminal activity. And they plan the pre-criminal activity. And they plan the post-criminal activity. And then they commit the crime. So with the 2020 election, the pre-criminal activity was Mark Elias setting up all these lawsuits, actually creating just media shit to get people to believe that what he was doing was legal. Oh, okay, there's no constitutional law. Well, actually there is, but we're going to ignore it. We don't have to follow the Constitution. The Democrats never want to follow the Constitution. Why follow the law? Why have the FBI do their job? Why have the Department of Justice do their job? Hell no. Why have lawyers do things right in court? Instead, they're going after Trump. Why? Well, because, we got to make believe he's a racist. So, back to the problem. What is the problem? Before I do that, I hate bouncing back and forth, but so what happened was the Democratic Party agreed to allow the Republican president's election to go through and clear as long as the troops were pulled out of the South and Reconstruction ended. So the Democrats ended Reconstruction, but for some reason, black Democrats don't understand that.
or don't know it, or I don't know. I don't understand. Why don't they understand this part of history? Now get ready, because I'm going to slam some shit down their throats. Okay, so now we have black men in this country. I know, because I have 4 or 5 of them on Facebook, own their own business. They're all Trump supporters. You're seeing more and more come out about it because they were allowed not only to get an opportunity, they were allowed to keep the opportunity. They were allowed to make something of themselves and have their piece of the pie. Black women, I don't know. Black women and lesbian women have been targeted by the Democrats to be the new weaponry. And so they're all over the place. And they're out front on all these attacks. Because if a man attacks a woman, he's a misogynist. If a man attacks a black woman, he's a racist. If a man attacks a Jewish woman, he's anti-Semitic. I know, because in 1994, when I ran for U.S. Senate, some asshole, I think his name was Ellis Rubin, brought up the point, when Mike Wiley was doing his gun rally, he attacked Senator Feinstein. She was a senator with a Jewish-sounding name. Thanks, Ellis. You know, Ellis, I'm kind of glad that you hate me because I was the person in 30 seconds to destroy your whole U.S. Senate campaign at the Tiger Bay Club in Tampa. That was one of my greatest moments. Taking the big 56, 60-year-old Republican, now Democrat, running for Senate, saying how he's not going to take any money. And the billionaire is telling everybody he's not going to take any money. They shoved that so far up his ass. You should have seen this guy. I wish I had a picture of that face. Because when you looked at his face, it looked like, I'm going to kill you, Wiley. I'm going to get you. And he did get me. Because he was hired at the end of the campaign to try to get the Jews from South Florida not to vote for me in the runoff because the polls, internal polls, showed that I was going to defeat Connie Mack in the general election because the 1 million gun owners in Florida that normally vote Republican aren't voting for Connie Mack because he turned his back on gun owners, and I led the rally to save every Floridian's gun rights all the way to today. Okay? And that polling number came out. And that's when Hillary Clinton jumped on her broom, flew right out of the White House, and all of a sudden get involved in a political campaign she didn't have anything to do with. And yeah, I ran as a Democrat. I was the first person to come up with America First in a U.S. Senate race. I was against NAFTA and all the stuff. I was Make America Great. I was America First from the beginning. There's even documented proof in the newspapers about that. What would have happened if I had won the U.S. Senate race? And there was this pro-American, pro-labor, pro-gun, pro-life Democrat senator from Florida. Holy shit. That could be a big problem. And that's why she had to get off her ass, come down and make sure I didn't win in the runoff. And the only way to do that was to make sure the Jewish vote didn't show up. So we got to make you think he's an anti-Semitic Jew. And so we're going to hire this Jewish guy, Rubin, who hates Wiley's guts for shoving it up his ass in 30 seconds in a debate. Never debate a talk show host. I'm telling you, we're quicker than the draw. Okay. So I spoke out against Senator Feinstein. Did that make me an anti-Semite? No, but she's got a Jewish-sounding name. How stupid is that? Okay, so we have this issue. Okay, I'm just going to point to I found this, this fascism, the global fascist empire. Global fascist empire. It's over here. I took it put on the side. The global fascist empire is using racism globally to attack and destroy the pro-American, pro-freedom movement. Because I guess they think that black people love to be enslaved or something.
You know, they're doing a good job in Africa. Okay, we're going to buy all these electric cars made with electric batteries, mined by little black children in Africa that are slaves for the Communist Party. And that's Joe Biden. You know, Joe Biden, you ain't black if you didn't vote for him. But you are black if you work as a slave in Africa in one of these mines. Does he care? Hell no. He's one of the biggest racists in American history. And just Google is committed to advancing racial equity, not racial equality. Racial equity for black communities. See how. Black communities. Okay, can anyone tell me, forgetting New England, where you probably find the majority of black communities in this country? Any guess? Any guess? Oh yeah, the blue sections. Yeah. Now Alaska's a little offset because they only have one rep, and I think they finally got a Democrat or something. But you come to understand that the Democrats helped create this scenario for years. Keep black people in the city, inner city. So all they do is vote. You got to pay them some money and then they'll vote. Pay them money and then they'll vote. So you're going to see, I'm going to play this video from Pam Geller Report. And it gets a little rough. But I think you learn to understand. I'm going to say this word. So don't start going, Mike, you're racist, Mike, you're racist. But I'm going to say this word. It's a term, a derogatory term, used for black people. When in fact, it's a derogatory term used for people who act a certain way. You'll know, I'm not going to say the word, you'll know what the word is when you see this video. But we happen to have a black man. Yeah, black man. And he happens to walk over to this hotel in New York City. And evidently it's one of these hotels that the government is paying for. In other words, the American taxpayers are paying for 7 million illegal aliens in the country, immigrants in the country. And we're paying for where they live. We're giving them $2,000 a month, probably coming out of my Social Security fund. I didn't see the deduction yet. And they get a free cell phone. And they're going to get motor voter addresses. Now, why do they need motor voter addresses? Because if you're going to put in a mail-in ballot that represents somebody that's not an American, you got to use motor voter, you see. I don't have the schedule. I'm going to put it up. I'll include it. Let me make a note. Include 15 million. Include 15 million plus additional voters for presidential elections that come out of nowhere. Okay. This is 15 million names around the country that Democrats already know and have, that they know don't exist anymore. They're fake, and they use them for election fraud. Because you see, when you print out 15 million ballots, you have to have names for them. Of course, they printed out more than 15 million ballots, but there were 15 million ballots that were planned to be used to steal the election. It was going to be a landslide, you see. So they were going to have to steal the election in just about every state. And I happen to come across the things they did in Massachusetts. So, there's a black man. He's got his camera, or it's actually his cell phone, I guess, because now you can take video with it. You can do everything with a cell phone. Cell phones are dangerous to certain groups of people. So he's standing in front of this supposed hotel or whatever it was. These immigrants are coming in and out, in and out, in and out. And a black guy comes out, and now he's got an accent. Okay. Now the accent of this black guy was not from New Jersey. I would venture to say that this black man was either from, no, it wasn't from Haiti, because I know the accent of a black person from Haiti. I rented a home from a black Haitian man, and he was very kind. And when there was a point me and my family were out of work for 2-3 months, he didn't throw us out in the street. He worked a deal with us and let us pay the rent over. And this was a man from Haiti, okay, and he was black. But he didn't sound like this guy. This guy sounded like he was from Africa, okay? His accent sounded like he was from Africa. And I got to tell you, the first thing that my mind went to was, what the hell is this guy doing in the United States? Supposedly being in charge of this facility where there's illegal immigrants? Now you have to understand how the forensic criminal mind works. My mind understands what a crime is, how it's being committed, and how it's being hidden. But then you have to also understand how the operation of the crime works, because that's how you figure out who the criminals are. My first thought was, holy shit. These people, the Democrats, are using Africans who are tied in with the Communist Chinese Party to help manage the immigrants to be sent to Africa, to be used as slaves, especially the children, because you know there's supposedly 89,000 immigrant children they can't find. Biden lost them somehow. The Biden administration somehow has lost 89,000 children. Where the hell do you think they are? They're either being enslaved as sex slaves, or they've been sent over to China. Not China, well, maybe China, but they've been sent to Africa. You know, black people probably would stick out in China, where they don't stick out in Africa. So they probably sent black kids, the darker skinned kids from South America or whatever, and sent them over there to be slaves. Slaves. Children. 10, 12, 13-year-old children working in these cobalt mines. At the same time, one of the largest nickel mines in this country is in the United States, and the federal government's not even let us dig and mine for it, which would create many jobs.
Yo, what is this, huh? Oh, it's a shelter. Oh, good looking. It's a shelter, my peeps. You heard?
You're not supposed to do that.
Excuse me?
You're not supposed to film here. That's what I'm saying. You're not supposed to film here.
What is this?
I don't know. You don't have right to do this.
I don't have the right to do what?
Yes, you don't have right to film in here. That's what I'm telling you.
What is this over here? And who are you?
Okay, you want to know who I am? Please, sir, you don't have right to film here. I'm talking to you right now. You don't have right to film here. Can you please?
Who are you?
I don't know.
Bro,
who are
you?
you?
The building. They don't want nobody out here.
They don't want nobody where?
They're standing in front of the building with a camera.
Okay.
Oh, y'all bugging.
And you really want to record it, bro? You bugging.
All right, you wait.
Yo, why you surrounding me? Why you surrounding me, yo?
You wait.
Oh, now you want me to wait?
No, you wait.
What's up, yo? What's up with you, yo?
Relax.
Yo, why y'all surrounding me? What's up, yo?
Relax.
You can't be here.
Relax.
You can talk to NYPD.
Talk to who? I don't talk to popos, nigga. I'm not a snitch.
Turn around, nigga.
You go talk to them.
Turn around, nigga.
Stop playing with me.
Turn
Look
around,
at this
nigga.
one. Look at this bird.
Look at this.
Yo, who are you, bro?
Why you on my property?
On your property?
My property.
Yo, stop playing with me, yo.
Oh,
Dude, don't you realize he's trying to bait you? Let him.
I'm about to knock him the fuck out. That's what I'm about to do. If they don't move back.
Let him-
What the fuck is all y'all niggas doing, bro? Especially you, bro. Who the fuck you think you are? Huh? You don't come to the sidewalk and talk to me like that, nigga. You hear me? You hear me? Make this the last time you approach a member of the public giving them orders on the fucking sidewalk, nigga. Stick to your job.
This is our job to tell you to move.
You don't tell me to fucking move, nigga. I don't go by. Who are you, nigga?
Doing my job.
Who are you?
Doing my job.
Your job is inside, nigga, not outside, bro.
is outside.
Who?
Security.
What security, nigga? Look at you. Look at the cop right here, nigga.
not security.
What's your name and badge number, brother? I don't know how to read.
It's right here.
What is it?
You're filming it.
What is it?
It's right here.
Say it out for the people, bro.
7807.
Name.
Wasso.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
There you go. Now you keep it moving and don't fuck with me, nigga, before I knock you the fuck out, nigga.
The greatest crime in this country was initiated and aided and abetted by black people. That's my statement. I'm about to show you the proof on that. And if you understand how the Democrats work, they employ racism. as a bumper, as a defender. Oh, you can't attack us, you're racist. Oh, this, that, this. And I'm going to go over to you, okay, because we're going to go over this right now. Because they basically tell you, yeah, we committed election fraud. We knew we were going to do it, and we knew you were going to come after us, so we have to prepare and attack you right away as a racist. And that's how we're going to finish this up, okay? NPR, have you ever heard of it? You pay for it. You pay for NPR. The Democrats make sure that you pay for it. Trump push to invalidate votes in heavily black cities alarms civil rights groups. Bullshit. Why is this bullshit? Has nothing to do with anything. This is the defense mechanism. The racist defense mechanism the Democrats employ every time they commit a crime. Every time they commit a crime. Okay? While Biden won black voters overwhelmingly across the country, they were key to his victories in Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. Why do you think that? Okay. What's one of the biggest problems Democrats have? They can't get black people to go out and vote. They just can't. So that's why they didn't want to have a picture ID, because maybe they would think that they could be arrested or something or whatever, and who knows. But they just felt they can't do that. They won't come out and vote. Well, if you can't get black people to come out and vote, what do you have to do? You have to vote for them. And in the past, the Democrats haven't figured out a way to be able to get votes for black people from black people without black people voting. In other words, black people exist, they live, they have addresses. Now, they may have moved, and they may not have bothered to change their address, and so their address is still active. And you know what? Where else can you hide election fraud? And if you're attacked and you're found out, you can claim racism. Bingo. While Biden won black voters overwhelming across the country, they were key to his victories in Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. Places where President Trump and his allies have been targeting ballots in cities with large black populations in an attempt to overturn the president's defeat and retain power. So, are you telling me that when the Democrats committed this fraud, they knew they were going to be employing black residents in specific states, and they were prepared for this because they were committing a crime? The Democrats are committing a crime, and we already had the people from Fair Fight say it's been worse since Reconstruction. Excuse me, but that was the Democrats. So you dumbass Democrats are now saying it wasn't Democrats, it was Republicans. Republicans who were acting like Democrats. Democrats or Republicans that were dressed as Democrats. They don't know. They're given these code words of shit to say. Okay, and the media just spews all this bullshit out. Well, here's Open Secrets. Open Secrets is a business, nonprofit, that reports all the money goes, where all the money goes, who got the money, where did they get it from. Democratic National Committee expenditures. Open Secrets. The Democratic National Committee takes millions of dollars and they send it everywhere. So let's see. Let's see, in 2020, where did they spend the money? 2020, okay, let's see, here's the list. The number one person or entity to get money from the Democrat National Committee was GMMB. That's a media company, $50 million. Another media company, the Bully Pulpit Interactive, $39 million. Another one, RWT Production, $25 million. Okay, so the top three amounts spent are on media, which of course makes sense. 88, because if you're going to lie, you have to repeat the lie over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And you got to pay for that. So if you lie, you have to spend a lot of money. But if you tell the truth, you may one day run for the U.S. Senate in the state of Florida and only spend $15,000 to campaign and win more votes than two out of the more than two of the four candidates, and you force a runoff and you only spend $15,000. How did you get so many votes, Mike? Because I was on radio and I told the truth. You know, the American people know the truth. Democrats need to spend millions of dollars for the lies, for the misinformation, the disinformation. We can't defeat this activity. We don't have the power to defeat it. We don't have the representation. In the center of racism in the world is the District of Columbia. We know that because that's where all these lawsuits are filed. Why? Because the largest percentage of population is black. 95% of them are registered Democrats. And you can get judges on a dime, and they'll do whatever you say. And all they have to do is be black females. Like the judge in the D.C. case is another black female. What a coincidence. We're just running up black females attacking Trump. You get the visual? Why, Trump must be a racist. He's got all these black women coming after him. Wonder what crime he committed. How about none? How about none? Okay, so now we come to the Democratic Party of Florida. The Democratic Party of Florida got $13 million. Wow. The Democrat Party of Florida. Oh, look, there's two big blue zones. Actually, there should be three because Tampa. Oh, yeah, there's blue. You can see it in Tampa. So you got Tampa, Miami, and Orlando. Okay, that's where the $13 million went. That's to ensure that black people stay there and vote for Democrats. That's how the Democrats have 50 some odd black people in the Congress. No, I don't think they have 50 now, but they've accumulated 50. Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The seventh largest recipient of campaign money from the Democratic National Committee is Perkins Coie. Where have I heard that name before? Perkins Coie. Ooh, $11 million. I wonder if they were getting paid to defend against all the lawsuits that they defended or tried to defend or got dismissed because they were waiting for these lawsuits. Why were the Democrats waiting for lawsuits? Did the Democrats know they were going to be exposed for what they did? So they had to come up with a plan to, who's next? The Democratic Party of Pennsylvania, $11 million. And then you got the Democratic Party of Michigan, $7 million. And then you get the Democratic Party of Georgia, $7 million. And then you get the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, $7 million. Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13. 4 of the top 13 receivers of money were on states so they could commit election fraud. And of course, what else? What else? Oh, yeah, you had a Senate race, two senators in Georgia, one in Michigan, and one in Arizona. But the next state was North Carolina. They spent a lot of money in North Carolina. Why? Because they were probably fixing the election there, but it didn't go so well. Okay? Didn't go so well. Well, look, and then you've got the next state to get money is $5 million. Arizona! Oh. So 5 out of the 7 states that committed committed voter fraud got most of the Democrat money. Wonder what they were paying for, huh? Wonder what they were paying for. you got to understand, when you follow a crime, you got to follow the crime. But you can't start in the middle. You have to start before the crime's committed. Okay? Trump's campaign and his allies have presented no real evidence of widespread voter fraud or other impropriety in any of the cities, and they have faced multiple defeats in court. Well, most of the defeats didn't actually come in court because the attack. Remember, okay? When did the Republicans know the election was fixed? November 4th, 2020. When did the Democrats know the election of 2020 was fixed? They knew it in 2019 when they started fixing it. So they knew to be prepared, Perkins County, to be prepared for the lawsuits that were going to come. You know, I just think we should, instead of making electric cars, we should be making electric chairs. And we get more satisfaction out of that. But the persistence of the president and loyal Republicans has alarmed black leaders, civil rights activists, and historians who see unprecedented attempt to disenfranchise hundreds of thousands of voters, many of them black. No, that statement is false. That statement is false, Your Honor. Okay? That statement is false, Your Honor. NPR is imputurating the truth. I made that word up. Okay? What do you mean they're imputurating the truth? You know, you got to laugh at some of this because you'll go berserk if you don't. Well, they're saying that the persistence of the president and loyal Republicans has alarmed black leaders, civil rights activists, and historians who see an unprecedented attempt to disenfranchise hundreds of thousands of voters, many of them black. Is that what they're really trying to do? Is to disenfranchise voters, many of them that could be black? Or are they trying to get 15 million illegal mail-in ballots thrown out because they violate the law? So what you're saying, Mike, is they weren't trying to disenfranchise black voters. They were trying to disenfranchise thousands, hundreds of thousands, 15 million to be exact probably, of fake votes. And we don't know whether the people are black or white. We just know that they're fake ballots, registered in under names of people that don't live there anymore. But what is this telling you? What does this tell you? Okay, when is this written? November 24th. It's 2020. This thing's written 4 days after the lawsuits came out, which for some reason knew to attack the major areas where the black election fraud was committed. And we're going to show you that. I don't know how they knew that. I don't know how all this lawsuit got put together so quickly. I mean, in less than 2 weeks, these lawsuits come out. Did the Democrats actually know that they were employing black people to commit election fraud? And this message is going to black people. Because I got some black people that want to talk to you. They're not here, but their history is going to talk to you. You may not even know that these people existed. But I'm going to employ them to get you to open up your mouth. Don't go to the FBI. If you go to the FBI, they'll make you disappear. Like they did the GBI thing. They had evidence, they ignored it, nothing's ever happened. Okay? And that happened before the election. So that's how we know that this election was disenfranchised. That's how we know that blacks were involved, because GBI is a black organization, and their job was to work in the black communities to get registrations, okay? Get registrations of people that wouldn't be showing up to vote, so they can then put votes in for them. whether those people were dead, incapable of making a mental decision on the vote. This is why they found in Wisconsin thousands of votes of elderly people that are in homes that don't have the capacity to fill out an election form, but somehow they did. This election fraud was so. No, I don't know why the NCAA is not defending old people in this case, because the Republicans are trying to get all the illegal votes thrown out, and those illegal votes are for white people, or for Hispanic people, or for black people, or for people that are elderly. Because that shit's not on the ballot. It's not on that voter mail-in thing. The address is, if there was an address. We did see a couple of black women that were in it ended up getting medals of honor from Joe Biden for them committing the election fraud for Georgia in Fulton County. We did see what they did and what they were up to. And the woman's sitting there and she's talking to somebody and she's showing the video and see here. See, don't look at that box. It's got no mailing address on it. Okay, don't look at the box of these mail-in votes that weren't folded. How could they be mail-in votes if they weren't voted, weren't folded? Remember the videos of them putting the ballots through over and over and over and over again? Okay, now Mike the pillow guy. Okay, I know you have attorneys. I know they're charging a lot of money. And you're having trouble with this lawsuit for defamation from the manufacturers of the machines. Okay, Georgia spent the $100,000 or something on these machines. Are those the machines that we have video of the same ballots being put through over and over again? Because we have video of it, we've seen it. Of course, the communists say, "Yeah, that wasn't it. You're saying the video wrong." Okay, Your Honor, he was run over by a bus. Well, how can you tell? Because he was run over by a bus. A bus doesn't look like a car. A bus doesn't look like a truck. And a defective election ballot machine looks defective when it allows the same piece of paper to be sent through over and over and over again, assigning document numbers to it. Mike from Pillow Guy, did your attorneys bring that up? I bet they didn't. And that's why I'm a forensic accountant, because I bring shit up nobody else does. You know, I went to law school for a year, and there was this seminar, or actually it was one section of the law. And he was saying, you're not really in law school. You're in fact school. He says, usually the best attorneys find the most facts. Facts leads to evidence and commitment and whatever. So he says, you could have a test. And if you find 5 facts out of the 12, you're probably not going to make a good attorney. If you find 7 out of 12, you're okay. If you find 9 or 10 out of 12, well, you're pretty good. If you find 12 out of 12, then you're going to be a top attorney because nothing got by you. Because you need all the facts of the case. And Mike, you don't have all the facts of the case. You do have a good fact, but your attorneys aren't using it. Okay? Hello? That shouldn't have been able to happen with that machine. That machine evidently was programmed to allow the constant flow of ballots, the same ballots being put in over and over and over again. Now, why is that important? Because they needed to know at 11 o'clock at night. That's why somebody made a phone call probably from Perkins Coie. I'd love to see if we could trace that phone call to all the 5-6 states and see if it traces to Perkins Coie, where they made the phone call and they said, all right, stop the counting. Because we need to know how many more ballots we need, okay? Like in Michigan, a truck showed up at 3:30 in the morning and had 175,000. Oh, here's some new votes. But we received them in before the time. We just didn't receive them in where they're supposed to be received in. Okay, they were probably still at the printing machine or something, printing them up and then bringing them in. Mail-in ballots, yeah, that were driven in. The amount of election fraud in this 2020 is so extensive. It's so extensive that you can easily inject people with idiot juice to say, there's no evidence, none. So the evidence is everywhere. And evidently, Mike Pillow Guy, I saw that you're going out of business. I kind of knew that a year ago when I saw your advertising didn't make sense with your business. Because I've been doing this stuff for like 30, 40 years. I understand advertising and how it's supposed to decrease. I was famous for going in and decreasing people's advertising expenses. Because they would say, look, okay, you put the ad in, you show it every quarter, every 15 minutes you place the ad. So it's running for this hour, for that hour, for that hour. Okay, so the first 2 or 3 days, you're running every hour. Okay, 4 times. And then, after a week, there should be some residual in the marketplace. No, you don't have to run it 4 times. You can do it 3 times. And then you can alternate hours. You can alternate half hours. The idea is that if you put out $10 million to advertise for a period, it should be broken down. It should detract down to a lower amount over time until it's almost nothing. Just a little bit to just keep remembering what's been planted in people's mind. Okay, come out. You didn't do that. Okay, I was counting your ads. You did not do that. So I don't know if you liked seeing yourself so much on advertising, and that could have been it. You could have been your worst enemy by wanting to see yourself on TV than anything else. But I'm telling you right now, if anybody gets this video to you and says, hey, Mike brought up a good point, okay, what about the video? The one they say doesn't show election fraud, which it does. And they pull these ballots out. Now, why do they pull the ballots out that were hidden? Well, because there was something probably totally wrong with the ballots, and they didn't want Republicans seeing them. And that's why they did it after Republicans were let out of the building, thinking there was not going to be any more counting. But there was. How can you say there was no election fraud when it was so damn obvious? So the Democrats had already planned to attack the racist issue with the campaign to fix the election. Okay? Now we're gonna run this thing up. Okay, Michigan Welfare Rights Organization. Okay, they filed suit against Trump. Okay, and they sued Trump for violating the Voting Rights Act and the Ku Klux Klan Act. The Ku Klux Klan Act. Now they're showing 1985. They must have updated it, but the Ku Klux Klan Act was passed in 1871, and it was done by Ulysses S. Grant because the Klan was killing people and preventing them from voting. So he had to do something about it. And the black Democrats want to say, oh, that's what Trump was doing. Yeah, Trump was on his horse with his sword, and he was going through the black neighborhoods, keeping people from voting. Come on, this stuff is so damn ridiculous. But it's so damn extensive. So it says here, it has members across the country who voted in the 2020 elections and who plan to vote in future elections, including in Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada. Those are the 6 states that we were claiming had election fraud. But these people are from, there's 3 people, the 3 black women, happens to be 3 black women, the plaintiffs. Yeah, they were damaged. Can you show us how they were damaged? Huh? Can you show, why is it that the law doesn't matter to be followed when Democrats are involved? Here's Benny Thompson. He's black, so that means he can sue Trump about racism. Okay?
The House Democrat sues Trump, Giuliani, and two far-right groups over Capitol riot. Lawsuit filed on Thompson's behalf by the NAACP and the civil rights law firm Cohen, Milstein, Sellers, and Toll accuses Trump and the other defendants of violating the 1871 Ku Klux Klan Act that Mike just brought up. Really? I know this shit like the back of my head. I'm getting really tired of it. I mean, I'm getting tired of reading the lies. It is sickening. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up. I've got some proof of white racism. Okay. Now, you know that white people will not vote for black people. We understand that. White people would never vote for black people because white people are racists. Okay. I don't know which white people voted for Barack Obama in 2008 and 2012. I do contend that the 2012 re-election, they cheated in Florida. I found that shit out. Someday I'll do a show on how to find cheating. There's some other stuff. I don't have the time to go over it. But the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform Consumer Protection Act was the Institute Racism Act in finance and banking. And so we have this group of people in Florida. Okay, 70% of the people in this district are white. 5% are black. So 5% of the district is black, but somehow they elected a black guy, a black Republican, which is sure as hell different than a black Democrat. And if I have to explain it to you, you need to have your brain removed. Okay, it's real simple. Just watch them in Congress. Listen to what black Democrats say. You know who they sound like? White Democrats. Stupidity knows no race. Byron Donalds was elected in a district that only has 5% black. I don't understand it. I thought you had to gerrymander all these districts to make sure that there's enough black representation. In Texas, they got a brand new district because more people were moving out of the stooge zones and into Texas. And we have this District 38. And District 38 has 75,000 black people in it. 420,000 white people in it. Oh, my goodness. I guess a black guy's got no chance in hell of getting elected in this district. But for some reason, they elected this guy who graduated West Point, fought in the military. His name is Wesley Hunt, and he's very good. I know he's not comfortable in speaking out with all he has to say because he's not used to that aspect, being from the military and stuff. He's more finite on points. But he gets to his point. He makes sure reads everything that's written so he doesn't skip something because he understands everything he says is important. And he's great. Matter of fact, him and Byron Donalds are really close to Donald Trump. I don't know why, because Trump's a racist. I just can't understand it. I can't understand it. So, the Democrats knew that lawsuits would come into the communities that committed the election fraud. The election fraud, of course, was planned and run out by black Democrats because they could have used. I wonder how much they got paid. So we're going to close this out, and I've got some people here. This is I'm not going to go through this. This was the FBI thing with GVI Strategies, that black organization that evidently works in the cities that had election fraud. All right. Now I know that I'm violating Democrat law by saying this, because
The Democrats do not want black people to know what black history really is. Yeah. That's why they chose the shortest month of the year, February, to be Black History Month. Oh, Mike, that wasn't the reason. Yeah. Why is there a Black History Month? Why is there a Hispanic History Month? Why is there a history? Why? Because you got to separate the people. Communists know they have to separate the people. Keep them fighting at each other. Because through chaos comes communism. And through 9 millimeters and in 564, I forget what my ammo is in the AR. That stops that shit. So I know that a lot of black people don't know black history. Matter of fact, an associate of mine from years back, I haven't talked to him in a while, he wrote a book called Stolen History. He lives down in South Florida. And when I did my radio show in Vegas back in 2010, I had him on the show. We talked about the book and why he wrote the book, because there's so much amazing black history in our country, but nobody wants to report it. Everybody wants to hide it. So I'm doing this because I'm a good-natured person. And I always want to believe the best in people. So to those of you who get to see this video, if it gets to you, if the people that get this video send it out to people who get it. But I want the black Democrats who were involved in this election fraud, who now understand that through their actions, $150 billion has gone to Ukraine, but not to your community. That $7 trillion is now owed by you and the rest of us. Because, debt does not know, federal debt does not know race. And now you know that 7 million more people are in this country illegally, but they get a different program than you ever got. They get $2,000 a month. They get free living arrangements in hotels. Okay? And the video that we showed, and I haven't really gone over the video because it's self-explanatory. But what you're going to see is a black man finding out what's going on. And then the nerve of these people to tell him and calling him the N-word and telling him he can't do what he's doing. I'm sorry, but he's a free American. And he let them know he's not an illegal immigrant. And a police officer comes over, and the black guy doing the video is calling the police officer, who's not black, but he's calling him brother. Because he identifies with the police. Because you see, black people love the police. They love to have police in their communities. Because the more police, the safer they are. Why do you think the Democrats take away the police and try to remove the police and destroy the police? Because the Democrats still think, like Barack Obama, they live in these mansions in Martha's Vineyard and other islands. They're so wealthy. It's like the days of the plantations in the South when slaves were slaves and blacks were slaves. That's their moment of life. They want to keep living it. They want to keep enslaving everybody now. They don't just want to enslave black people. They want to enslave white people. Why not? Why not control the whole universe? Like a Nazi communist pig scumbags. So, he's not here today. But Crispus Attucks, a black man, who was killed on March 5th, 1770 at the Boston Massacre, because he believed in freedom. And he was one of the people touting and shouting at the British soldiers. He stood in defiance for freedom. And you people in Detroit, Milwaukee, Atlanta, Philadelphia, threw his life away. His act of defiance in freedom, you threw it away as if he didn't exist. Here's another guy, Salem Poor. He fought at the Battle of Bunker Hill. And he survived, one of the few that survived, and he was still there with his sword when they were out of ammunition fighting the British. He went on to continue to fight. They even came up with a stamp for him. We already did a show about Salem Poor and talked about him. You can look him up. Just type in Salem Poor, P-O-O-R, a black man from Salem. And what a lot of people don't know is there was about 5,000 blacks fighting in the Revolutionary War up in the Northeast. Okay, Massachusetts, against the British. But you threw their historical battle away. You threw away black history by committing that election fraud. And you should be ashamed of yourself. But don't just take it from me. I'm just some white guy who had, for a while in his life, was raised by a black woman. William Harvey Carney. He was one of the Massachusetts 54th Black Volunteers. And he almost died in the Battle of Fort Wagner in 1863. There was a movie about it called Glory. And the person that basically, the background in the movie didn't match his background, but he basically was the person that was standing there, actually on his knees, holding the American flag so it wouldn't fall after he got shot 4 or 5 times. In the movie, he died, but in real life, he lived. His name was William Harvey Carney, and he was given the medal. He was the first black to receive the American Medal of Honor for that battle in 1863. And I hate to tell you this, but you took his valor. You took his valor and you threw it away just to get Joe Biden elected. Joe Biden, the same guy that made sure the 1993 act put away black people like it was nothing. The same act that Trump got rid of, and then you helped to get rid of Trump. I don't understand that. Why do you help the guy that enslaves black people and has done more damage to black people, and you go against the guy that's helped black people? Lowest unemployment in black history was when Trump was president. Okay, 2 more and then I'm going to stop. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with the last part of the show. There's a group of guys named the Tuskegee Airmen. You ever hear of them? They were all black. They were all college graduates. And there was a movie, several movies done about them. And I never heard of the Tuskegee Airmen until I saw this movie on HBO. And with Cuba Gooding Jr. in it. And don't mind me if I forget. I have so much data in my head. Before the Tuskegee Airmen, no African American had ever been a United States military pilot. The Jim Crow laws, a series of racist laws that enforced the separate but equal treatment of African Americans, were used as justification for blocking previous attempts by African American soldiers to become pilots. Okay, class, how many Republicans created the Jim Crow laws? Answer, none. Jim Crow laws were created by Democrats, the same people you just put in power to ruin and destroy this country. The Tuskegee Airmen, one of the finest Air Force pilot groups in World War II. They never lost a bomber. They never lost a bomber when they were doing escort. If you haven't seen that movie, you should see it. It's an amazing story. An amazing story of American history of black men that you tossed away. You tossed their history away. I got one more for you. Okay, I probably could come up with a lot more, but we can't make this a 28-day show. Carl Brashear. The movie was called Men of Honor.
Cuba Gooding Jr. played Carl Brashear. Carl Brashear was the first black master diver. He was the guy that found the bombs, the nuclear bombs that dropped off, okay, in January 1966, in an accident now known as the Palomars incident, a B-28 nuclear bomb was lost off the coast of Palomar, Spain. After two United States Air Force aircraft of Strategic Air Command, a B-52G Stratoforce bomber, and a tanker collided during aerial refueling. Brashear was serving aboard the USS Hoist when it was dispatched to find and recover the missing bomb, which he did. 2.5 months of being in that water every day looking for that damn thing. How do you have the courage and the tenacity to do something like that? But you threw it all away. You people in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Detroit, Philadelphia, Atlanta. You stand there and you support people whose history is to enslave you, and you negate and ignore the history you should be proud of. But you probably don't know about this, because I bet if you did know about this, you would have more pride in yourself not to listen to those assholes tell you how to steal an election. So some jerk off, who's the number one known white supremacist in the country, besides the Kliegel. So what happens is, during the bomb recovery operations, a lifting cable snapped, causing a pipe to swing across the deck of the USS Hoist. Brashear rushed to push a shipmate out of the eject. He saved a man's life. Pushed the shipmate out of the object's path. It consequently struck Brashear's left leg below the knee, nearly shearing it off. He ended up having to have the knee amputated, the left leg below the knee amputated. So now he wants to be a master diver. And he became the first master diver, but what did he have to do? He had to walk 12 steps, wearing 300 pounds of equipment, with only one real leg and one leg with an artificial extension so that he could walk. But he did it. He got it done. If you haven't seen the movie Men of Honor, you need to watch it. He's the son of sharecroppers. Okay? Son of sharecroppers. So that's part of black history. You Democrats in Detroit, Philadelphia, Atlanta, and Milwaukee threw away. You threw their history away. For what? They pay you $2,000? They pay you $5,000? They pay you $500? How many people there did they pay? We know they paid you something, because we know we have video of you guys putting up whiteboards so people couldn't see what you were up to. Why did you have to hide it? What was it you were doing that basically was illegal, but you didn't want anybody to know? Okay, I'm going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Okay. We're going to have to cut this short because I talked too much. This can only be like 20 minutes. But this is quick. But this you got to do. This is how we fix this. First, let me show you this document. Okay, and what it is it's a chart. The chart shows that up until 1990, we were pretty close in terms of balanced scenario in terms of asset value and for the country. And then all of a sudden, it goes right down the fucking toilet. Zoom! Somehow, the people we elected to power in 1993, the Clintons, began to do shit. It cost us a lot of money. If you really think that going to the polls and electing a Republican or a Democrat to do something in Congress is going to help, it's not. We've been doing that for what? What's 1913, 2023? 110 years? For 110 years, we have been screwed by the Congress of the United States to the tune of $90 trillion and another $36 trillion in debt. I'm not paying a fucking dime. Sorry. Matter of fact, this shit has to end. But how do you stop a corrupt criminal entity from being corrupt if you have no power to stop them? Elections don't work, do they? Have we just not learned in 2020 that anything can happen to be stolen by the Democrats? Okay, here's the deal. If they can't get Trump, there's two things to do. A, they can go ahead and, I hate to say it, but they could shoot Trump, which a lot of people are getting concerned about, because if you look at the and Tucker Carlson already brought it up, but if you look at the modus operandi for the Democrats, that's almost what they got left to do. But now Hillary Clinton's come up with a new plan. Send us to concentration camps and re-educate us. Or reprogram. Yeah. Fuck you, Hillary. Okay, so here's the deal. Here's the plan. I've already sent this out. I'm going to continue to send it out. It's going to be on the website. Like I said, everything now is going to be the Wiley Information Network. The Alliance of Free States is a not-for-profit organization of 527S. That's an advocacy group that will continue. You can go to the allianceoffreestates.com with dashes in between the words and donate $20, and we'll send you a signed copy of my book, Diary of Hillary's Right-Wing Conspirator. Learn all this shit you haven't learned about what these people are up to. You may have heard some of it. And with every book, you get two I am Trump buttons. Okay, we're getting involved in the 2024 election. We're also going to begin offering political consulting. Okay. I was going through this stuff and I realized got quite a bit of experience in politics. I've had a lot of people ask me to run for specific seats, not so much to win them, but to destroy their future opponent in a televised debate. Okay. So I'm famous for televised debates. So that's what we're going to do. This is going to be basically the last America Strikes Back show, and then starting after this, it'll be the Wiley Information Network. So this is episode 12, The Planned Bankrupting of America and the Concord Resolves to Fix It. The Uniparty's 30-Year War in America. Brought to you by the Washington Post, New York Times, FBI, CIA, Associated Press, UPI, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, CNN, MSNBC. The debt from the Democrats overspent $14.3 trillion, Republicans 8.9 trillion. Part of that chunk of money was due to the war, the 20-year war with Iraq and Afghanistan. So let's see. What have we dealt with since 1993? Well, starting in 1993, the Clintons gave us Waco. The Clintons gave us Black Hawk Down. The Clintons gave nukes to North Korea. The Clintons gave us Oklahoma City. The Clintons gave us the Fannie Mae scandal. The Clintons gave us missile technology to China. And then, of course, in 2001, we had the Twin Towers. Kind of difficult to blame it on Bush because he just became in power. And a lot of the problems that allowed it to happen were actually done by Jamie Gorelick. It was called the Gorelick Wall. She was awarded by being put in charge of Fannie Mae. She made a pretty penny, but she never went to jail. But she's now like on the board of Amazon and all these other companies, and she got rewarded for her criminal activity. I'm going to come after you for defamation. Okay, you got to remember, there's a lot of shit that never made the newspapers because the media kept it hidden. Okay, 2001, Afghanistan. 2002, Iraq. 2007, return of Fannie Mae too.
Okay, that's when they work to hide the thing. United One Bank in Massachusetts was owned by the husband of Maxine Waters and Barney Frank. And they worked the TARP deal so that their bank would qualify for money, even though their bank didn't qualify for money. They never went to jail for absconding with federal money. No. Why? Because they're Democrats. And one was a Jew and one was black. What a coincidence. Blacks and Jews equal crime. That's how the Democrats think. Black and Jews equal crime. Isn't that pathetic? I think it is. 2010. Oh, I'm sorry. 2009. No, I'm sorry. Okay, Fannie Mae. 2008, the Kenyan fraud. And the Kenyan was elected to presidency of the United States even though he didn't qualify legally. They fooled around with that shit. And who was it that helped out? Perkins Coie. Perkins Coie said, Perkins Coie, I believe Perkins Coie was the Kenyan's man. They put him into office. And then they sent a woman out to Hawaii to make sure she came back with a birth certificate that worked. Who sends attorneys out to get a copy of a birth certificate? Copy? Or a facsimile thereof? 2009, the Hillary BlackBerry conspiracy, 30K emails. 2010, the Unaffordable Care Act. 2010, uranium to Russia, Hillary Care Act. 2012, Benghazi. 2013, Obama approves Biden delivery of Afghanistan to China. Yes. We've already done a show on it. Okay, and we get all this from Associated Press. You see, remember, people write about shit when they don't think we're paying attention. But in a meeting with Obama and Xi Jinping, they agreed to work a deal on Afghanistan and turn everything over to the Chinese. 2014, Obama sells Ukraine minerals to China. Now that hasn't come up yet, but I'm going to tell you that's what it is. Okay, because Ukraine has 500 years of surplus and supply of coal reserves in their country. And China is not going to be living by, China is not going to be trying to live by electricity unless they have coal plants to create energy to develop and build energy, electric. So China wants all the Ukrainian minerals and coal they can get. A lot of iron ore. Ukraine's a gold mine for minerals like that. But you can't have Chinese people running around in Ukraine because they stick out like sore thumbs. 2015, the Wuhan, China purchase. It's documented, we know it. 2016, Hillary's Russia election hoax. Attempted election fraud. 2012, nobody talked about it, but I found it. 2016, Hillary. 2017, 2019, the Mueller investigates the Russia hoax in order to attack Trump for 2 years of his first 2 years of his presidency. 2019, Pelosi comes up with the first fake impeachment. In 2020, we have the Biden election fraud. In 2021, we have Pelosi's January 6th insurrection hoax. And then in 2021, before Trump leaves the White House, we have another fake impeachment. And then from 2022 to 23, we have Biden's 4 fake indictments. Fakes, frauds, criminals. How do you get rid of fakes, frauds, and criminals without killing them all? Because if you kill them all, you'd have to be saying, okay, Second Amendment time. Everybody's state militias. Well, let's see. What would of the people from Massachusetts have done back in 1774? As with the other counties' resolves, the Suffolk document denounced the intolerable acts or coercive acts which had recently been passed by the British Parliament and specifically resolved the following. Okay, so in other words, the British Parliament was telling the Massachusetts government what to do. So the counties, Suffolk County, okay, the 5,000 counties we have in this country could do the same thing. I've only done 700 shows on it. Nobody seems to be doing a damn thing, but you gotta shoot me to stop me. Boycott British imports, curtail exports, and refuse to use British products. Pay no obedience to the Massachusetts Government Act or the Boston Port Bill. Demand resignations from those appointed to positions under the Massachusetts Government Act. Refuse payment of taxes until the Massachusetts Government Act was repealed. Support a colonial government in Massachusetts free of royal authority until the intolerable acts were repealed. Now, we're not colonials, but we are people that live in counties. We can support a county government, 2,500 county governments, to run this country. Okay. Number 6, urge the colonies to raise militia of their own people. And this is why the Second Amendment exists. Because what's the Second Amendment say? The Second Amendment says, well, you have to have a free state. And in order to have a free state needs to have militia. And a militia is the military of the people. So if the militia is going to exist in order to protect the state, then the people must be able to have guns so they can be part of the militia and protect the state. Therefore, the Second Amendment is not a right. The Second Amendment is a requirement. The American people are required to carry weapons because we are the ones that are the ultimate defense of the nation by county. That was called the Suffolk Resolves. And Paul Revere delivered a copy of the resolves to the First Continental Congress in Philadelphia, where it was endorsed on September 17th as a show of colonial solidarity. In response, John Adams commented in his diary, "This was one of the happiest days of my life. In Congress, we had generous, noble sentiments and manly eloquence. This day convinced me that America will support Massachusetts or perish with her." Will the 2,500 colonies support Trump and America, or will they perish with her? That's up to you. So now I have offered you the Concord Resolves. Why are they called the Concord Resolves? Because in 1775, on April 19th, after the British had dispersed a small group of patriots who tried to slow them down so that the Americans could hide the shot powder that was hidden in Concord, the British troops, 700 of them, marched to Concord, but they had to cross this bridge. It's Concord Bridge. It's not a big bridge. I've been there. I've stood there. Okay, the picture makes it look larger than it really is. 2,000 Americans armed with guns were standing there going, "Hell no, you're not crossing. Get the F out of here." They had a resolve at Concord Bridge that they were not going to be defeated by the British. Do you have the resolve to tell the Democrats and the Republicans that are owned by them and the Communist Chinese, we're not going down? We're not going down without a fight? Are you ready to do that? Are you ready? Would you have stood with your musket at Concord Bridge with 2,000 other Americans to stop the British? Would you have stood there, or would you have been hiding in the trees somewhere? Would you have run off? Would you just say, nothing we can do. Nothing we can do about it. So I give you an American action without firing a shot. The 10-year Concord Resolves for 2025. On April 1st, 2025, this will be after the election of 2024, we're telling everybody, whoever gets elected, this is what we're going to do. Because either 2024 is a pro-American election or it's an anti-American election. We're not taking the bait on that. We're going to go ahead and do what has to be done. And we need to prepare for this. This can't just be done overnight. The first resolve, but first let me say, we the people of the free and independent counties of America recognize that the constitutional republic of these United States has been corrupted far too long, and to prevent a correction action of open rebellion, which is what they're trying to lead us to, do hereby choose to implement the following resolves for a 10-year period
beginning April 1st, 2025. There's probably at least 500,000 Chinese military in the country now. There's been reports of seeing these young Chinese guys coming over. And we're probably arming them. The Democrats are probably arming them. So, because they're going to expect, this is what, they're going to step on us until we decide to shoot them. And they're getting prepared for it. Okay? They know Americans aren't going to fire on us. So they have to have enemy come in. And right now, the enemy that they work for is China. And who knows, maybe Venezuelan military. Who knows how many millions of people are going to fight against us that have come into the country, and all these weapons and armaments that Obama has been stealing and setting up. Who's to say that the 87,000 IRS agents who are going to be armed are actually going to be armed? Maybe those 87,000 weapons that we've paid for, we've paid for, are going to go to the Chinese to shoot us and kill us. They'll be sent to an area and just try to wipe us out and clean us up. So I'm just telling you, it's not going to be an easy thing. Am I talking about open rebellion? Yes, I'm talking about open rebellion. Open rebellion against crime, criminals, thieves. We all know who they are, but I'm not saying that we should just go shoot them. Because we have a set of laws. We're a republic. The colonials in 1775 weren't a republic. They weren't established yet. But we have established laws. We just don't have politicians who follow the laws. We don't have a Congress that follows the law. Maybe 20% of the Congress follows the law. And half the government is run by communist scumbag Democrats who I have no understanding reason why we need to live with them ever again. All they do is raise our taxes and steal from us all day long. It's got to stop, okay? It's got to stop. So the first result, well, we the people of free and independent counties of America recognize that the constitutional republic of these United States has been corrupted far too long, and to prevent the corrective action of open rebellion, do hereby choose to implement, instead of a correction action of open rebellion, the following resolves for a 10-year period beginning April 1st. In other words, we're saying it's going to take 10 years to fix this problem that the Democrats and Republicans and the progressives and the global scumbags have been doing this for 110 years. We're going to need 10 years to fix this. Repeal the 16th and 17th Amendments to the Constitution, terminate the Justice Department, and pass a balanced budget amendment. We don't need a Justice Department. The Democrats have proven that. The Justice Department can be used against the people, but we don't need them. We have judges in our counties. We have sheriffs in our counties. We have sheriff's departments in our counties. We have a police force in our counties. Depending on the county, that's either large or small. And then we have armed citizens. And we're required by the Second Amendment to protect our counties. Okay, remember, counties were the first set of government. 1770, counties. They're the ones that came up with the resolve, not the states. States weren't in existence then. They were controlled by the British. It was the counties that established and began this revolution. And now it's up to the counties to do it again. And who's in the counties? Okay, now, you may recall, if you know anything about American history, that the Sons of Liberty used to meet in taverns and in the churches. And a lot of reverends and pastors, and I don't know the denominations, whatever, I'm just a Jewish guy. And we have a lot of history of being rebellious because we like our religious freedom and being free. But you need to speak to your community. You need to speak in your churches. You need to use those churches like our founding fathers did to organize. Okay? Why do you think? Why do you think when the COVID shit came, strip clubs were allowed to be open, liquor stores were being allowed to be open, but churches were to be closed? Huh? Did that not give you a hint? Did that not give you a hint of who we're dealing with?
Remember, we've known the enemy since 1913. We just haven't done the damn thing about it. We've gone 110 years and have just stuck our head in the ground. Now it's time to act. Okay? And that's the reason why I'm breathing. If I'm not spewing freedom, what the hell am I doing? God gave me the gift of speech. I have to use it. So the first resolve is to repeal the 16th and 17th Amendments, which are actually illegal and should have never been passed. I mean, the Supreme Court should have ruled against these things because they violate the original content of the law and the Constitution. Terminate the Justice Department. We don't need them. We don't need to spend that money. Okay, we have county sheriffs and we have county judges. Someone commits a crime in our county, bam, done. We don't need to have the federal government or the states. Okay, now I'm not saying to get rid of the states, but I'm not saying that we completely trust the states. You may have a Republican governor that supports this and will work with it, but you can't, we have to go back down to the level we began as. We began as counties, we need to finish as counties. Second resolve, pay no obedience or tax to the federal government until it returns to honoring the 5th and 14th Amendments of due process and equal protection under the law and repeals all laws that violate the Constitution. That's about 85% of all the laws passed violate the Constitution. But we don't see them because we don't read that, I forget what they call it, where all the laws are written and we don't read it, we don't see it, we don't pass it, the Congress does. Third resolve, all politicians found colluding. Pay close attention to this. All politicians found colluding with the Clinton, Bush, Biden, and Obama regimes, okay? All right? The people that have been running this country and sending us into the toilet since 1992, 1993, all politicians found colluding with the Clinton, Bush, Biden, and Obama regimes to violate the Constitution and commit acts of corruption, including election fraud, will resign and forfeit all lands, title, and assets to be sold with the proceeds applied to the national debt. All these criminals, we're not going to kill them. We're just going to send them to, maybe it's 1,000, maybe there's 2,000 of them. We'll send them over to Gitmo. They can live in Cuba, but they're not living in this country anymore. And they're not leaving with any of their land, title, everything. All that's gone. They forfeit all of that for committing the crime. That's their penalty. We're going to make them poor, and they can live out in poverty, and that's the name of that tune. And all that money from all their assets will be applied to the debt first. They're basically in the bankruptcy scenario. They're basically bankrupt. The country, they have bankrupted the country. We have to get ourselves out of it. Fourth resolve, reduce federal taxes to 2% of earned income. That's it. 2%. 2%. That's all you get. 2%. Now the question is, who do we pay the 2% to? I say we pay the 2% to the counties, and then the counties turn around and will send money to the federal government of whichever amount is required by the counties to provide for the federal government operations, whatever they may end up being, because we sure don't need a whole lot of them. I've already gone through and cut $3-4 trillion out of the budget. Go back and look to see what the federal budget was when Clinton was president. And then look to see how Obama did nothing but double it. So if Clinton ran the government on 1.7 trillion, Obama ran it on 3.4 trillion. Where is that extra money going? What's it paying for? I say it's paying for racism and kill the children. Yeah, racism and kill the children. Figure it out. Okay, all these programs that we need for racism, fight racism, that 2010, that Unaffordable Care Act and that Finance Act that set up this organization to supposedly be consumer advocate type deal, and instead it's one of these DEI, ESG bullshit. They're the ones that established all that. Fourth resolve, federal taxes to 2% of earned income. Interest rates reduced to 2%.
Well, Mike, that's going to cause inflation.
What? When mortgages were 2%, what was inflation? Was there no inflation? Huh? That's bullshit. 2%. Borrow money, it's 2%. That's it. Okay? I worked the deal and got my mortgage down to 2% with the federal government, and the federal government said, okay, we're going to go with Wiley and offer it to everybody when we fix these problems. We're going to make them 2% mortgages. Unfortunately, I had to sell my house because the criminal scumbags that I couldn't get to in court were trying to take my house, and they stole $2 billion worth of properties from people in Nevada, between Las Vegas and Reno, from 2000. I think it was from 2006 to 2012. During the time Obama was president, they had, it was a bunch of bullshit. They didn't steal my house because I went and filed a bankruptcy so to prevent them from taking the house. They still tried to cheat by getting the bank to send them money, even though that was illegal. Yeah, they didn't try stopping that. Okay? And they go,
hey, you're going to need an attorney.
The only thing I hired was a bankruptcy attorney to file the paperwork. He's sitting in bankruptcy court is ridiculous. But it prevented them from stealing my house, and then I got a temporary restraining order. I filed it in court in Las Vegas, and we had my day in court. Mikey had his day in court. And Mikey stood in court against the HOA and said, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. I want the ability to sell my home and settle this without you stealing it. And the judge said, well, we're not going to issue a temporary restraining order, Mr. Wiley, but we're going to tell the HOA to leave you alone and let you sell your house without their interference. In other words,
go fuck yourself.
You see, a lot of times when you go to courts, you get in front of really good judges, unless your name's Donald Trump. When you get in front of judges who understand the law, understand the people. It was very difficult for the HOAs to try to steal people's homes because a lot of the judges in Nevada were trying to prevent it. But they still stole $2 billion of properties because some people just don't know what to do and they didn't have the money to hire an attorney. The attorney would charge them $10,000 just to walk into the door. It didn't cost me anything to walk into the door. School loans. Adjust interest rate on school loans to 2%. I've already put that in motion. I've already written to Nelnet, and they told them, hey, you know what? That 6.7 interest rate, bullshit. I got that loan in 2012 when Barack Obama was president. That loan was for a year of college education at $20,000. Okay, the interest rate that the federal government was paying to the Federal Reserve at that time was 0%. 0%. And that's how I got the federal government around the same time because, of course, the economy sucked with the Democrats. But I got them to remortgage at 2%. 2%. So now I'm telling Nelnet I'm not paying anything more than 2%. And they're going to have to do it because they don't own the loans. They merely manage the loans. And they steal from the loans. Because you see, you're paying them the 6.7%, and the loans are actually owned by the federal government. The federal government owns $1.4 trillion. The largest asset the federal government has is $1.4 trillion of school loans. And Biden wanted to wipe all that away. He wanted to give, you don't have to pay. Yeah, let's take $1.4 trillion of the largest asset in the United States and get rid of it. Biden is a Chinese agent. He's a Manchurian candidate. Everything he's done is to destroy America and her allies. Everything he's done. That man needs to go to electric chair. And I think he is the one that gets it because he's old enough and he's criminal enough to have deserved it. Everybody else then goes to Gitmo. So I've already sent to them the notification that I'm not paying anything until and I haven't paid anything. You see, I know the law. And there's two things the federal government did that I believe were criminal. And I've waited for the time to be able to do something. I have never signed, I have filed tax returns, but I've never signed them, and I've never written in the $500 they wanted me to pay every year to steal $7,500 out of my ass for 2008. But at the same time, the people from 2009 could deduct the same thing I could deduct in 2008 and not have to pay it back. Someone's going to explain that to a jury of 12 people in court if the IRS continues to challenge us. That battle's coming. That battle's coming. That's an equal protection deal. Okay. Democrats do not believe in equal protection. They believe in turning everything they can do to spend money for votes. Spend money for votes. Spend money for votes. That's what they do. Not going to be having a lot of money spending for votes. If interest rates are only 2% and taxes are only 2%, I'll say that I'll give the government $2 trillion balance figure, $2 trillion. Okay, they can run the government on $2 trillion. The rest of the shit. Fifth resolve: boycott all products originating from China. Now, in order to do that, what are we going to have to do? We're going to have to add all the people who try to kill us with their vaccine shots. All the people that make half or 30 or 40 or 50, 60, 70% of all pharmaceuticals are made in China. Bring it over, boys. You're going to bring that shit over here because we're not buying anymore. You have to produce it here in this country. And that'll create jobs. And creating jobs will create more revenues. And 2% of more revenues is more money to the government. You see, the government just gets X amount of dollars and that's it. We spend $1.3 trillion to fill out our tax returns. The nation, $1.3 trillion. Anybody can challenge that. $1.3 trillion. It was $872 billion back in 2010. So I'm figuring it's at least $1.3 trillion now with inflation and stuff, and the charges that these people do, plus all the bullshit in this tax code is fucking ridiculous. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. The fact that we allow someone to give us a book this big and go, hey, and I taught federal taxation. The book was this thick. It was so damn stupid. I'm telling you. Sixth resolve. Right from the Suffolk resolves. Defend the counties as required by the Second Amendment by raising their own militias under the leadership of the duly elected county sheriff. Those are the Concord resolves. I've already sent them out to you. They're going to be on my new website, the Wiley Information Network website. We've got one for the Alliance of Free States. That's for the nonprofit. The Wiley Information Network is the company that's producing this radio show, is the one that's going to be offering to get candidates elected, America First candidates. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Independent, Libertarian. If you're America First, if you're going to follow the program that I believe is necessary to save this country, I won't charge a lot of money, but I'll help you do what I did when I was running for office, because I know how to run. I know how to campaign. I know what to do. A lot of these Republicans, I've run against Democrats. I know how to beat Democrats. Okay, and you beat Democrats by getting the gun vote, the labor vote, and the black vote. What a coincidence! Hillary Clinton, she had to come down the last weekend, the weekend before the election, the runoff, and on Saturday she spent all day visiting Jewish groups to go, that Mike Wiley's anti-Semitic. And then Sunday she went to Tampa to tell all the black groups, that guy Wiley, he's white, he's not black. He wanted you to think he was black. That's why he took the name Wiley. Which of course is a lie, but how would Hillary know the difference between the truth and bullshit? Love ya.